they're not there, they'll have to wait Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I thought of it, I was missing, I was doing stuff. I could see that my princess from Arabia, and I'm looking forward with all the problems of the Gardner. Yeah, no, I was ahead, I didn't do it since they reopened in March, I just thought that across the last fall. I know, but I used to drive them on last fall. And I haven't done it since they reopened in March. So I went to the March. Oh, yeah. Please? I haven't been in a long, long time.
I got something in my box.
Okay. Well, we were playing 1995, but then I come over and sit on the back or something. I was out there yesterday, fell asleep in my chair. I got one of those ergonomic chairs.
It's sort of like Sam Malone.
You see that? Reading the paper, it looks like I look.
I'm not. Well, at home, I watch my walls, my baseboards. I'm just going through curtains.
Really good shows at maybe Sunday nights, but other shows.
I have to say, I do like the work right now, though. Just do things that I never had time to do.
What's the Phillips? Very well, yourself? What's the Phillips? Team Phillips?
I do have an interview Thursday. I do have an interview on Thursday.
I'm not so quick to know that.
We've already been there, sorry. Good thing you didn't hear us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our June 3rd meeting, 2:06 in the afternoon. Has everybody gone over and read the minutes?
There's one error that was noted by one of the board members, Perry, that the under gift fund, there's a comment that we've asked for additional money for the generator expenses, so that last line should really be referring to the general fund. So with that change in mind, if you are ready and able, we will entertain a motion to just move that, accept the minutes and move that item. So accept the minutes as presented, as modified, as amended.
I second what she says.
Very good, thank you. So first one, Terry, and seconded by Paul. Any discussion?
All two.
Paul, two, yes. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay, so voted.
Little button next to their bottom.
Okay.
Next item on the list is the Treasury Report.
Treasury report, okay. The general fund is your page 1 of 6. These are the figures, excuse me, report as of May 31, 2024. As you know, we're on the last legs of this budget, and we're getting ready to close everything out, and Mike is doing a very good job of moving things as needed around, and he can only, the payroll, which is up at the top, only adjustments can be made within that payroll, and the other items down below can only be made within the account. But, let me see, let's see, there was a shortfall, up at the very top on the clerks, a shortfall, and that was because of a contract increase. And the outreach coordinator, of course, the city only gave us $6,000, but we have spent more than that for the outreach coordinators, and we are able to transfer money from the grant into that account. So Mike will be sure that that's all balanced out by the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. This is repairs. Anyway, on the outreach coordinator, that $3,593.97, that is the money that we owe to the city for the payroll, for the outreach coordinator. And that's part of the fund that will be transferred this coming month. Probably some more in addition to that, to finish out the time. But he will take care of it, and he will be sure that it's balanced out correctly. And repairs, oh yeah, he's looking for an additional appropriation of $5,000 for the generator, and he will ask for that additional money. And and he has listed any encumbered, no encumbrance on that one, okay. And I think that's about it on the general fund, unless Mike would like to add some more, he will.
Just so that so we're clear, the clerks absolutely projected deficit, so we were able to do a budget allocation transfer from the custodian line item, which had a huge surplus, into the clerk's line item to cover that expected deficit. At the end of the year, we'll have a few dollars left in the clerk's account, department head account, and the custodian account. We won't have a lot of money left over. We're literally right where we should be in terms of salaries. Terry mentioned encumbered. For the purposes of knowing and understanding what our commitments are, you'll see encumbered notes on your general fund budget sheet. That means those are contract amounts that we have to pay beyond May 31st. So we expect to fully draw down, although we haven't paid those monies. That's not true. We actually paid them the first of the year. So our balance in mail manager is just about at zero right now. We've paid all those expenses. But we will encumber some. There will literally be some encumbrances at the end of the year. The true technical term of encumbrances being that there are expenses anticipated for FY24 that should be recognized in fiscal year 24 that won't be paid until 25. So the money from 24 is captured and then paid out later. So those encumbrances you'll see at the year-end report. You will actually won't see the June 30th year-end report until September, but just so you know that's how it's going to go. And then the $5,000 was received. Just so you know, we put in a request and the City Council approved it for the unexpected, unanticipated generator repairs. So that was paid.
Any questions on the general fund? Any, all, even if you think it's silly, ask.
That's right.
We will do that after we get through this. Okay. Okay, and nothing's going once, going twice on the general fund? No. Okay, on to the gift fund. There is a little discrepancy there on the gift fund. The balance should be $76,177.92. Somehow an extra $108.01 got in there. We don't know where that 108.01 came from.
So the actual balance, and thank you for catching that, Terry. The beginning balance was $65,436.24, not $536.24. That was a typo on my part. Which means that the balance plus the $10,749.59 should bring us to $76,165.93. So beginning balance is 65,536.24. Year-to-date revenue is 10,749.59, and the ending balance is 76,285.93. That made sense. There was $120 that we had put into the gift fund that wasn't gift fund money. It had no revolving fund. That transfer took place. Terry found it and said, "Hey, what the heck is that about?" I was able to track it down. So just against your balances, the beginning balance was 65,436.24. Revenue 10,749.59, and our ending balance is 76,165.93.
Okay, and so when we ask for approval of the financial report, we can ask that it be made subject to these minor changes on the gift fund,
As amended.
as amended in the gift fund. Any other question on the gift fund? It's in good shape. Okay, on to the revolving fund. Not too much difference there. We're down to a balance of $46,551.04. And Mike is going to try to keep that balance down around the 40,000 mark. We do have some encumbrances in that account. McNally, 6,000. That is for catering services. And all the other expenses are about in order. And we didn't have too many in May. We something for Amazon, Dollar Tree, travel, supplies, and professional development, pizza, and trips and excursions. And the catering is encumbered, and Walmart's and miscellaneous. Totaling for expenses for the month were only $1,683.79, and 6,000. And of course, but Mike is going to keep, because we're allowed. The city council has to vote on this every year, and we like to keep the balance at around 40,000. Otherwise, we have to give it to the city.
There are a lot of moving parts on the revolving fund. Just, this is as of May 31st. A lot's going to change between now and then. Our actual McNally encumbered amount, or amount we expect, is probably going to be closer to 2,700 and not 6,000, which means that we're $3,300 kind of have more than what we expected. We're going to take $4,400 from the state grant 24 and move it into this for the tables that expense was reallocated earlier. We're going to reallocate it back at $44,071, which will leave us $7,071.50 in expenses. I anticipate about another $1,500 in revenue, but at the end of the day, we should net out around $55,71.50, which should bring us below the $40,000. That's our goal is to be below $40,000. If we're right at or around $40,000, it won't be a major impact, because we know in short term there are ebbs and flows. So the city council and the auditor are generally a little bit more, what's the right word, comfortable, allowing us to float a little bit more than 40,000. If we were significantly over 40,000, they would capture that. So trying to keep it at the $40,000 mark. And right now, if we do these adjustments, we should be fine.
Any question on that revolving fund? Any call?
It's the alley encumbered. Is that for the upcoming year?
Any other questions? Questions? Okay, on to the FY23 grant, and that's practically gone. $5.78. It won't even buy you a
Order from McDonald's.
yeah, a McFribble from McDonald's. But so that will be closed out, and after next month, we will not see an FY23 page.
Maybe. So understand, our balance right now is $5,880. We anticipate about $5,875.10 in expenses for the month of May. That's really going to depend on our instructors. So what we've done is we've done some projections on what our instructors are going to cost. Those are all the numbers in red with the gold or yellow numbering. The coordinator payable we're guessing what that is. The hours fluctuate, so it's not a static number of hours. It's not 18 hours that we can absolutely budget for. It has to be under 19, but a major event that comes up, we maybe bringing people in and having them allocate more time, which would increase expense. Or if there isn't those situations, or somebody takes a day off, our expense could go down. Similarly, with our instructors, we're basing our $250 on a certain number of people that attend a class. Well, if those people don't attend, if they're only 8 or they're 7, it's going to free up some of that cash. So it's a little bit fluid. I wouldn't say a lot fluid. It's a little bit fluid. That may go up or down a couple $100, but we'll adjust that out. My plan is for June 30th to zero out the FY23 account. That's our plan. But right now, I'm just letting you know, based on our projections, we're right on target. But I see some of those projections changing this month, so we'll have to reallocate some of those expenses back to the 24 grant account.
That's good. But I would like to see us get rid of this too. Is there any question? Yes. Is there any question about the FY23 state grant? Any question at all? Okay. Seeing none, on to FY24 state grant. And we've going to use some of that money. You can see the May 24 was spent in May. The biggest item was the racks and tables. That was a transfer, right?
It was.
Reallocation into that, but then paid from here $4,471.50, and the other items, the food Templeton food day, was that for the upcoming barbecue? It was for last year's barbecue, and catering, and basically things that have gone by. You want to add
All of these expenses for May 24 and the fiscal year 24 grant account were reclasses. They were general ledger adjusting entries, taking it from some of the other expense allocations. But you should know the $44.7150 for racks and tables, that's going to be shifted again. We're going to put that into the revolving account because we're not hitting the $6,000 expense for McNally's. We have to build that expense in somewhere, so we'll move the $44.71. Again, allowing us to keep our balances correct. I can bring over an infinite amount of money from FY24, but I can't in the revolving fund. So I want to allocate as many of the expenses that we've incurred this year to those two accounts, revolving account and the FY23 grant account. But otherwise, there are no new expenses. All of these expenses have been reflected in previous financial reports under other accounts. We've just been adjusted out. No new.
And I would like to point out that Mike does work closely with the auditor, so everything he's telling you it goes through, and so it's in good hands. Eventually it's the auditor who audits our books, and then the city has an audit coming in. But Mike, in the meantime, clears everything with the auditor, so we know we're okay. Is there any question on the FY24 state grant? Any?
Yeah, so technically, all the bookkeeping is done by the auditor's office. We get the reports, so I'm able to come back and give you the financials, but they do, we're not able to make an adjusting entry. We can ask for that, and then the auditor does the adjusting entry. So moving these expenses. And they are as adamant as Terry is about closing up the oldest state grants first, get those out of the way. The other thing is all of this ties to MUNIS, which is the record keeping system. So, if anybody came back and said, oh, geez, you have 105, we tie out. We do a paper trail tie out, so we reconcile all of these accounts. If you're ever really interested in seeing that, which I can't imagine you would be, but if you are, let Terry on.
We're happy to show you everything. Okay, no question on FY24. On to FY25. We haven't spent anything on that yet, and it's good at 83,565 even. And once we get into the next fiscal year, we'll be starting to see things in there. And at the bottom of page 5 is just a consolidated report of the grants. You can see the 24 beginning balance, year-to-date ending, FY 25 and FY 25 increase, the total revenues. So that little section at the bottom is just a recap of the pages that we just gone over.
Super important to note, I did not carry the year-to-date or balances from fiscal year 25 and consolidated report over, because it has not been voted on. That's anticipated, it's in the governor's budget, it's in the House budget, it's in the Senate budget. So the conference committee is reporting favorably on that, but until the budget is actually approved and stamped, we don't really count it. So I don't include it as part of our year-to-date revenue availability for purposes of this report.
Can I ask a question?
Just did.
I'm looking at the numbers for the 23 budget, and we just went over the grant. Is there any reason there's just a few $100, like 200 there? Can you transfer that into the 24 to close out your 23?
No. No. So the answer is, if we have a balance that exceeds zero, we have a surplus in the FY23 grant, can we just transfer that balance over? The answer is no. But what we can do is reallocate the expenses from the 24 grant to the 22 grant to zero it out. So at the end of the year, the 22 grant will be zeroed out. It just may not be exactly according to these projections. So, you know, in September, when you look at it and say, geez, like on May 30th, we had, I don't know, supplies from Home Depot at $184, but in September, you showed a June 30th report of only $20. It's probably because that amount was reallocated to 24, and we'll be able to explain that, just so you know. The expense will still be reflected, it just be reflected under another revenue source.
And, you know, as I said before, Mike works closely with the auditor and to make sure that any transfers or any reallocations are good, because when big audit comes to the city, we don't want to be called up before them. And the last page is that technology grant. And they have bought some Chromebooks, $8,685.80 worth of Chromebooks, and I guess that's about it for now. Or do you have you bought the Chromebooks anyway?
So our expenses to date on that were $10,852, $8,685.80 for the Chromebooks. The remaining $2,000 were 2 owls, 2 meeting owls. We've also purchased the laptops, but it doesn't show. I put it over on the side just so you saw it. The laptops have been purchased. The expense didn't hit the books till after June 1st, but just so you know, there's another $3,500 that's gone out. I just wanted you to be aware of that. But if you look at the May 31st balance on Munis, you're only going to see the $10,852 in expenses.
So that's the financial report. I also wanted to say that Ron Demetka and I met with the Welfare Commission, because they're the ones that monitor us. And Ron, Mike couldn't go that day, but we went, and everything went favorably. They said that they like everything we're doing, and the one thing that they want us to do is, and not right this minute, but have a wish list. So Mike had suggested some items to them, and they thought, but that's what they want to have, is a wish list. And so everything went well. It was very short. They were very pleasant, and we were in and we were out. And I guess this is the budget that's going to go before the city council. And Mike gave me a copy of this. This will be our budget, hopefully starting July 1. There's a couple of items down here.
Let's do the finance report first.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
All right, sure.
Okay, good.
Is everybody all set with the financial report as it was modified earlier? Any questions? If not, okay, entertain a motion.
I entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Very good. Motion made with Kathy and seconded by Paul Leone. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll go to the next business. Is that?
I just wanted to mention about the meeting we had with the welfare committee, Ron and I, and everything seemed to go okay. There's only, one thing that I noticed. The department had salary and wages. They reduced it by a little over $1,800, and I don't know what we can do, but I think we should at least get it back up to $65,000. I guess we can't at this point. But other than that, I'll let Mike talk about any changes.
Just want to add one thing that Terry mentioned about when her and I went to city council meeting. Councilor Judy Mack, made suggestion that we could look for some sponsorships, anything we ever need. See about getting some sponsorships that help us out financially instead of going through all this all the time. A little extra help.
Yeah, so let me just let you know what this budget means. If you look at the first line of dollar amounts, the 62,760, for example, the FY24 budget, is what the budget was coming into this fiscal year with amendments. Now remember, we've changed some line items. We can do a transfer of appropriation between salary line items to salary line items, and we can do a request for change of appropriation between operating line items and operating line items, where we can't mix them. And so we've done that. Department head salary, what we projected is, kind of Johnny on the spot. We'll have a surplus of about $120 at the end of the year. I put in a request, so just so you know, the column in peach is my wish list. So I asked for a 30% raise, and when the mayor was done laughing, it was pie in the sky, right, if you don't ask. The actual request was just to come in at the existing salary plus the anticipated 3%, which is what we typically get. So the FY25 mayor request was $65,000. The actual amount that was voted on and compromised by City Council was $24,520, which is about $2,000 or $1,800 more than last year in the actual FY24 allocation. That can be adjusted. We can do, some additional requests for additional appropriations later on during the year if something changes. But right now, the 64,520 is predicated on the 3%, 2 to 3% increase in the salary. Certainly, with the clerks and dispatchers, we were way under this year on clerks and dispatchers. Our actual budget to start the year was $38,000, $40,000, but sure was 42. So we had to move money from the custodian salary budget line item to the clerks and dispatchers. So the custodian salary line item was reduced, the clerks was increased. As a result, our actual expenditures this year is going to be about $42,000 for the clerk. We asked for $50,000, so give her a bump in her salary. The mayor put in a request of $41,000. The council approved $40,462, which at current rate, if we go with the same number of pay periods and the same rate of pay, with the 2% increase, we'll have a $1,200 deficit. Now, before you freak out, that's okay, because we're anticipating an $1,800 surplus in the department head salary, and we're anticipating a $3,600 surplus in the custodian. So we should have like a $5,400 surplus minus the $1,200, right? So $4,200. Salaries are adjusted during the year. That's one of the things that happens well after the FY budget is approved. The salary contracts are negotiated, and so there are changes. I see those as being fluid. The outreach coordinator, $6,000 is what we got last year. This year they've increased it to $9,000, which is great. That's still right. That $9,000 is about 50% of what we actually pay. So the city has always kind of given us a commitment for $6,000, but we generally pay about 3 times that. So we pay about $1,800. So this year they're giving us $9,000. Although I did ask for 2/3 of it in the budget, they only approved the half. Overtime, you know, I requested additional overtime money this year. We've been pretty slim and mean on overtime, so we're in really good shape. We haven't touched the on-call standby money at all, so that's not gonna, you know, that's another pot of money we have to pay for overtime if we need it. The clothing and uniform allowance is contracted, so if the contract amount goes up this year, so too will that amount in the budget. It'll be in a separate appropriation a supplemental appropriation by the city council. The meal manager, we're lower than what we had hoped to be. Our contract amount this year is $10,250. We asked for $10,250. We weren't given $10,250. I'm sorry, $10,500. So we're going to be a little bit short. We're going to be about $500 short. But thankfully, I can pay those kind of expenses out of grant money. So we'll be able to make up that deficit pretty easily. Repairs and maintenance for the last 2 years has been a wild card here at the Council on Aging, and it will be again next year as we seek to move into new quarters. There'll be some additional money, but that'll come out of the Waterford Street School capital expense account, not out of our repairs and maintenance. So I think we're going to be okay on repairs and maintenance for FY25 for 294 Pleasant Street, plus have a little bit of that money to put towards the building at 62 Waterford Street. Infotech, we're already behind the 8 ball on Infotech. Our cost per month is about $250, $260. We overspent this year by $85. We're able to reallocate some money into that account from other operating expenses, so we're going to be in the same boat next year. They level funded us for that. If we have the same costs as we have this year with no increases from Comcast, we'll be at an $85 deficit, and that's okay, because we can make up some of that from other sources. Energy and utilities came in way low this year. None of us can really figure out why. While the cost of energy went up, our total cost went down. Last year, we were at $15,000. We're over $15,000 this year. We have, we paid half of that, $8,000. So I'm not quite sure why we saved 50% on our energy, but we did. That being said, I always try to project worst case, not best case. So I asked for the $15,000. The mayor put in $14,500. They approved $14,500, which is pretty much what we've had in the previous year. So this year was $13,500. So they increased us by $100,000. Telecommunications is reimbursement for cell phone. That's not changing. Professional development. We did a lot more professional development this year because we had more board participation in outside events. We've never done that before. Other city boards do it too. And I'm very pleased that members of the board took time out of their personal time to represent the Council on Aging at other events. We had a great showing recently at a Chamber of Commerce event. We were there in full force, and it really made me proud and certainly appreciative that folks were there to support the Council on Aging in that regard. Our office supplies, we reallocated $750 from energy and utilities into the office supplies because we're way over. We're going to be pretty much at break even on office supplies in 24. We asked for that again this year. Instead, we got a $50 decrease, 2% reduction. So our costs, our expenses this year was $2,700 next year. Our budget is $1,900. So those, ultimately, this reflects about a 3% cut in the budget, which you know, will impact us. It certainly will impact us. But I think that the board has been so conservative and lean and mean and really worked hard to ensure that we have the other resources. We'll be able to go through and measure in response those cuts. If they start cutting the salaries, that's a whole different animal. But I think now that you know that's the budget, it's the budget that went in. There was no fanfare in the welfare committee that recommended it out to the full council. I think the full council is voting on it tonight. So, light a candle saying that I don't see it going wrong. I will say again, I've said it to this board before, you are much more engaged than I think we've ever been as a board. Our programs have been enhanced because of the input and participation that you provide. And I think that generally, there's a very good feeling about what's going on at the senior center in our community because of the work that you do. So thank you very much for that. I don't see there being any problems getting through budget. If so, they'll bring it back, they'll either defer it or, bring it back for supplemental if there are other changes made tonight.
Yes, the welfare committee did tell Ron and I, they're all very pleased with what's going on here.
Yeah, I know. Any questions about the budget? All right, that's our budget as of 7/1. So in 30 days, that's our new pot of money for the city. I'm just going to quickly go on age-friendly designation. Our copies and chats. The Housing Authority has not scheduled those with us, but they will. Sean and I have talked 5 times about getting a date, so there's no issues there. Waterford Street, there's no update on Waterford Street right now, other than, and this is an important one, the engineer's report is in, it's been submitted. A copy's been given to the mayor, for the mayor to this 782, whoever needs to 782. They'll pour through that report. It was a little bit of sticker shock. I knew it would be, only in the sense that they came back with a lot of recommendations, but not requirements. And so, thankfully, I was able to meet with the engineers first and get, really the flavor of the report from them, and then we lay that back to the mayor and say, listen, don't have a sticker shock, because the amount that they said we should do, we don't have to do. It's not a health or safety hazard. There's some things we have to do. And that price tag on the things we have to do is somewhere around, $900,000 to $1 million, which is exactly what we're looking at. I want to say this because every chance I get to say it, I think it's important to say it, that this is a 70,000 square foot building. Recently, a local city or town built a 1,700 square foot facility at a cost of $1.4 million. It's a storage shed. It doesn't have the functionality that this building does. So we're going to have to put some money into it. The reality is we either put it in now or we put it in later. And the mayor and the city council and most folks that I talk to in the community know that, appreciate that, and embrace that message. They're not worried. There's no sticker shock. They're not worried about the fact that some money has to be put in this building. It wasn't meant to be turnkey. It was built as an elementary school. We're putting it in now for 5 different uses. Yeah, we're going to have to do some repairs. What that looks like and how much of it we're going to be able to absorb with in-house labor or out-of-house labor remains to be seen. But there was absolutely 0 surprises, none in this report. So they didn't come back and tell us that there was something that had to be done that we weren't expecting. The fire chief, the building inspector have already had a chance to review it and have weighed in, and are totally in line with the recommendations of the engineer. So where do we go from here? From the engineer's report, we kind of meet, we discuss what they said, we go forward with contract documents. We'll engage the same firm to create those contract documents, go out to bid and get some of this work done ASAP. I figure it's going to take us a couple weeks to digest the report, a couple weeks for them to put the bidding specs together, maybe a July 1 date for bidding, and an August 1st date for starting construction. If we do only the things we have to do to get in there, I think it's very reasonable to think October 1st, it could happen. I think the biggest construction part of the job is redoing the bathrooms, and that's really not significant. Hanging, unit ventilators, heat splits like the ones we have here in the rooms. Not a huge challenge because they came up with a really creative way to do that using roof mounts instead of surface mounts, and that way we can do multiple heads from a single unit and save some money as well. Just a lot of really good recommendations that, but for the engineer's report, we may not have seen or known. So that's what I have for Waterford Street update. Any questions about Waterford Street? Everybody has questions about Waterford. Everywhere I go, people, right down at the bottom, there's a gray button. Paul, gray button at the bottom.
What?
Turn it on.
There's a gray button at the bottom.
Oh. Okay. Thank you. Who's coordinating all the movement, all the furnishings, all that stuff? How's that being coordinated? And you do pay some contractors to paint the interior.
All right, so 2 different questions. First question is who's coordinating the moving. The second question is who has a painting contractor. I'm going to answer the second question first. We don't have a painting contractor because the specs haven't been made, right? right? So as part of the engineers and architects' work, they made the recommendations. They're saying what needs to and what can be and should be painted, and how it's going to be painted, and how that's going to be applied. No one understands that we have new light fixtures throughout the building, so we have to protect and save those. There's asbestos in buildings, so whatever work we do, we want to minimize the impact on the asbestos. So they'll spec it. That'll be part of the bid, which will be the painting side of the work. As it relates to moving, if you talk about and all I can talk about is the Council on Aging. I can't talk about any of the other very separate, independent organizations that exist in this community. They are responsible for their own moving and stuff like that. But I'm responsible for coordinating the move of all of the Gardner Senior Center facility from 294 Pleasant Street to 62 Washington Street. And a year ago, just so that we had some budget amounts, I had 6 moving companies come in, walk the entire building, take an inventory of what's here, see how much they have, and do their estimates. So we already have cost estimates on moving the stuff from the senior center.
Any other questions?
So now we'll go to the director's report of the new business.
Well, I have a little bit of that news. We just had a wonderful relationship with the former VSO in Gardner, Lynette Cabrillo, who just was very responsive, engaging with issues that we had with any of our veteran seniors. Lynette, I had a wonderful opportunity to present to her. She's gone on to work with Commonwealth of Massachusetts directly under the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, so she does a really nice job. The beautiful thing about that is we have a relationship with Lynette, so we'll still get that level of service if we need at the state. The second beautiful thing is that Corey has someone that's likely going to be appointed as the new director of the new VSO in Gardner. Corey does a great job as well. He's very engaging and super invested here at the Gardner Senior Center. But it's bittersweet for me to wish Lynette the very best in her new endeavor and let her know that she will certainly be fondly remembered here at the Gardner Senior Center and hopefully be re-engaged in her new role as the Director of Outreach and, I don't know, it's a 14-word title. Part of it is her job will be overseeing the SAVE team. So I'm veterans here understand and know what the SAVE team does. That's a pretty important service. Want to thank the department heads that have been so engaging and supportive. One from DPW and Gary down there. Our good friends at Lines and Signs, led by the absolutely amazing Doug Monroe. To folks at City Hall from the purchasing department, Josh and Amy, who, by the way, we were able to do a road trip with Amy last week to pick up all the flowers from the flower boxes. So I drove the truck down the trailer and loaded it up and tried to figure out ways to get more flats in the trailer than ever could possibly hold. But we did it, and just had a wonderful time. It's nice to be engaged with people in different ways, in different relationships, in different contexts, so that you really understand their strengths and their personality. And I'm so appreciative of the time and the invitation to be part of that with purchasing and Councilor Mack, who really spearheaded this year's flower box campaign, and so appreciative of what they do to make our city beautiful every day. Big events coming up. Next, in 2 weeks, we have the AARP installation of officers. Ron Domecca being installed as the new president of AARP. Our picnic barbecue on July 31st at the Templeton Fish and Gun Club is going to be awesome. We're going to the Woosauce again on July 12th. A lot of great programs by our partners and vendors like the Highlands and Care Central DNA, Integrity Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're doing a Turning 65 program for folks that are approaching 65 that have questions about Medicare. We'll do that as an evening program. We'll do 2 of those during the summer and early fall for folks to get acclimated to what they need to do. Lots of craft classes. A lot of people have stepped up. I want to thank people like Paul and Jane Cortez, Jane from DD's Crafts, who are Karen Oliveri, who is just, they're all doing so much more than you could ever hope or expect from people. I'm so appreciative of the time and effort they take. We have a new yoga instructor, and that's Chantel. Chantel is actually taking over where Nina left off. Nina has asked for a sabbatical, so thankfully we have someone step right in. Chantel is doing a great job and is very well liked. Our volunteers are through the roof. Folks like Bookwood that run Bookwood Friends and our quilting and our caregiver support group are just busting at the seams, and I'm so appreciative. On June 14th, Diane Coburn from Lifeline has come to the Gardner Senior Center. She's going to spend a couple hours here to talk to people about that emergency call service, the push button help a volunteer get up there. It's a local service that's supported originally by Athol Hospital and the Athol Rotary Club. For those of you who didn't know, that's kind of how it started locally. The Athol Orange Rotary Club still supports Lifeline tremendously with huge financial support. It makes it available for folks in our community. We have a bunch of concerts coming up. Everything from Elvis Presley to the Cirque of Creek Alley and Sean Fullerton, Dan Kerouac joining together. Tate Jazz Band is coming. Just a lot of really cool programs that it really keeps us busy. Now that being said, you need to know and understand I am so excited about the possibility of going to Waterford Street. Because the more programs we bring in, the shorter the timeline we have to flip rooms. So we flip a room here, and as we're done here, there's a program winding up downstairs, and we have to flip that room. And when that one's done, we come back up and flip this one. And it's constant. You feel like nowhere to go time. The nice thing about Waterford is we'll be able to keep some static rooms. The last thing I want to just say, and this is really important, and I need your help spreading the word. You're going to see some social media posts from the Gardner Senior Center. You're going to get you will receive, everyone on this board will receive a constant contact email notice. Frauds and scams, they haven't slowed down. In fact, they've increased. I told a story last month about a couple affiliated with the Senior Center who was convinced that their grandson had gotten in an accident and killed somebody and handed over $5,000 in cash through the window. But as importantly, most recently, very recently, as soon as contacted me and said, you know what, I just got this notice and I responded, but now I'm feeling a little sketched out. I looked at it and it was clearly a fraud. Now here's what happened. A senior who's very active here and has 1 million Facebook friends from the Senior Center, her account got hacked. The hacker got all of these people's contact info from her Facebook account and sent them all Facebook Messenger under the guise of being that person. So they trusted it. They said, oh, it's my notice. And I said, once I trust them, they're telling me that they have this engagement with this federal official who gave them $50,000, and they said very clearly that money's in their account. This isn't a fraud. I believe them. And as a result, more than one, several of our seniors sent them identifying information. Names, birth dates, driver's license numbers, and they sadly have to do a number of people. Well, they didn't get into the accounts. The problem is they can't. They have all of the information they need to steal somebody's identity. Birthday, middle name, first name, last name, middle name. They have a license number. So the DMV got a lot of business from the Gardner Senior Center last week. We sent 5 people down there to change their licenses, get that document taken care of, change PIN numbers, move accounts if they have to. But the message here is clear that anyone is vulnerable. I'm vulnerable. I'm a tech person. I got hacked 3 years ago. I've never been hacked in my life, ever. And they got my information and sent out disturbing things under the auspices of people like Ellis. So just know, be attentive and be aware. If in doubt, we need to make sure people know that we're a resource for them to come and check out that information. We'll help you go through the process of police reports or changing any of the documentation that needs to be changed. And to that end, in July, we'll have a couple of our huge partners, and they have been loud and vocal and active partners as it relates to frauds and scams in central Massachusetts, including District Attorney Joe Early's office, who comes up here frequently just for the one goal of reminding people frauds and scams exist and they're all vulnerable. We also have the police department, and I just want to give a huge shout out to John Chasowski and his whole community police department that are here, by the way, once a month. They meet with our seniors once a month, in a casual environment and talk to them about things like frauds and scams, or answer questions they may have related to that. John, thank you so much for all that you do. And in July, we'll have DA Early and the Department of Homeland Security. So it's to the point, where we have national agencies like the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security contacting us to come to the center to talk about how prevalent these frauds and scams are in our community. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. I mean, we talk about big problems, I told you about $5,000 in cash. But I can tell you, in the last 3 years, there are more than half a dozen people that have lost over $70,000, $80,000, and equal that who've lost between $25,000 and $70,000. And an equal number of that, by the way, those are only the ones that contact us. Do you think there are folks out there that this is impacted that don't contact us because they're embarrassed or pride or fearful, afraid of what their families might say, that they'll be accused of losing their mind? I'm susceptible to this. Like at 20 years, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you do, what you don't do. These people are very savvy. They use social engineering. They know what they're doing. They know how to manipulate you. I just implore you to please ask. And I'm going to ask all the board members, every chance you get, if you're out in front of somebody, talk to them about the fact that frauds and scams exist. There are a lot of our seniors that don't think that they're vulnerable, that have told me to my face that it's never going to happen to me, and then it happened to them. True story. So let's get the word out. All right, that's all I have. That's all I want to get off my soapbox about that. I do have a question to ask you. Theater at the Mount has been a great partner with us. They've come in and done programs. We did a tour of Theater at the Mount and Massachusetts Community College. They're asking folks to help support their upcoming theater season by placing an ad in their ad book. The Gardner Senior Center has never done. We're government, right? So you don't see the city auditor putting an ad out to check people's books, because most city functions don't really need to advertise. Well, we're different. I think it's a great opportunity. It's low-key, and it supports a partner that supports us. It's not a lot of money. A full-page ad throughout the season is $400. A half-page ad is $200. And if you want a full-page ad plus the lobby projection, which is like what we have all through the center, we put the monitors up, it's an extra $100, so it's $500. I'd like to do it. I didn't want to do it without talking to you, though, to see how you feel about it. And I won't lose sleep if we don't, but every chance we get to let people know that there are services here, I think is a good opportunity for us. There are a lot of seniors who are still not connected with the services.
I think it's a good idea. Can we pay for out of a grant? Well, then I'm in favor of it. Somebody else could suggest an amount, but I propose that we take out an ad. I go to the amount myself, and I think it's good to have either a little or big or big. But I'll leave it to somebody else to make the amount, but I make the motion that we support the amount and take out an ad.
Let's just say I agree also with the donation to the ad, because they have been a season ticket holder for the last 10 years at the Mount, and they do terrific shows and stuff. So we're just sponsoring, a great way to sponsor and support the theater at the Mount. And we've had Gail Steele here not that long ago, so she supports us with other things also. So I would go along with that also.
What? The ad rates, what are we thinking?
500 for a, $400 for a full page, 500 for a full page plus
Projection, which is the monitors in the lobby, and then $200 for a half page. I would think we're going to do at least
Great.
Okay, I will make my motion to support with a full page ad costing $400.
Plus the projection, or is it 500?
500.
Yeah.
Okay, the projection. I'll make the motion. He's seconding it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Quite right.
Any formal discussion on the option, on the motion? Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we're gonna have ourselves, we'll advertise it in the, at the shows. Every time they have a show, we'll be in the booklet. All right.
And the first show is coming up in August, so Ron and I will always be there. The rest of you can come too. I don't,
Is it the prom? Is it the prom?
Might be the prom
Magnolias, Into the Woods, Sound of Music.
My daughter, on the 15th.
of August.
Yeah, no, the 15th of June, they're having something at night, it's called Broadway View.
Oh, I know where.
It's a special program. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Did we all know? Yes.
Okay. And then,
Motion carried. And Michael will take care of the details. Very good.
all right. Now we're up to open discussion. Anybody have anything you want to bring up? Go ahead, Mary.
I have a question about the automated phone message I got on transportation, van by van for senior citizens to get to Bingo. So can you update on that?
It's a great question. I'm going to first tell you a little story, because right after that robocall went out, it said, hey, look, today's bingo day, we'd like to come to bingo, don't forget this bingo at 1 o'clock. And if you're interested in the future, let us know if you need transportation. If we find there's a need, we're going to subscribe and get a shuttle service. 15 minutes later, I got a voice message that said, hey, Mike, I'm wicked interested in this highway. Would love to come to bingo at 1 o'clock. My address is 624 Parkway Drive, Tampa, Florida, wherever that is. Obviously from a snowbird. So it's kind of a mixed message. Part of it is we still have a lot of folks that aren't here all year that are in our system who may have moved permanently or temporarily. So getting that cleaned up is it's an arduous task. My active member list, which indicates people who signed in the last 2 years, is 2,600. That doesn't include people who came before COVID and haven't come back. That's closer to 8,000. So we try to limit it to the people who've been here in the last 2 years. That's our subscription rate. And then the good part about that is somebody from Florida decided they still wanted to be so connected to send me a voicemail that said, hey, it's nice to hear from the Gardner Senior Center. And now I'll give you a little bit of bust your chops a little bit. But that was so it was a mixed blessing for sure. So the answer is we are going to have a shuttle service on Thursdays, starting at 12 o'clock, picking up at all of the senior residence housing facilities. So that'd be the Housing Authority, the Bernal House, Blanchard Street, and Haywood Wakefield. We're just going to do a circuit for half an hour, pick up anybody that's interested, drop them off here. 3:15, we'll be doing return service, so they'll pick them up here and bring them home. In the summertime, that's not, well, in the summertime, it's not as big a need. However, and Ron and I have shared this so many times in our discussions, I've heard from so many seniors that are coming to an event, and when they got here, couldn't find a parking space and left. So parking is an issue. If we can find new and creative ways to alleviate or reduce that impact, I think that's a good thing. So spending a few dollars, and it remarkably is going to be very, very small money to get people to come to a program, especially in the summer where it tends to be a little bit lower than you know. In the wintertime, I think the shuttle service will be an invaluable service for folks that just don't want to drive on icky days or out in the cold, don't want to get in the cars. So I think that'll be a great service. So our plan is on Thursdays, start the shuttle service at 12 o'clock, run it for a half an hour, 45 minutes, however long it takes to get people in. We really need people to call us and let us know because God forbid somebody want to do the service at Haywood Wakefield and they drive by and don't see anybody there and off they go. One huge part of this is lines and signs. It's agreed to do all of our signage for that, so we'll be putting up signs at all of those places saying, bingo, transportation available here, Thursday, 12 o'clock to the Gardner Senior Center, return trip 3:30. So I think that'll really help us. I'm so appreciative of his offer to support us in this endeavor. So did that answer your question? Good. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for asking because it is absolutely something I wanted to talk about and forgot.
Very thing I was gonna ask was, are we gonna keep that going once we get to Waterford Street? Because I know we're gonna be on the school bus, I mean, on the regular bus route, right?
Yeah.
All the places.
So the answer is probably not. We're going to be on a legit, but on the legit bus route, right? So it's really two bus routes in Gardner that occur, that just operate in opposite directions. So we'll be on the regular MART service. We will be a stop. They're adding Waterford Street as a stop between Parker Street and the Housing Authority, and then coming the other way from Marquette Street to the Housing Authority. So we're going to be the next stop after the Housing Authority on that route, and the first stop would be for the Housing Authority on the reverse. So, but they haven't put us on the route yet because we're not open. But once we open, their plan was actually to start in October. I think they were relieved that they didn't have to do that. So, so we'll put it off until this October when we do that. And it's the beautiful thing about this is it's an easy addition. We don't have to really change the route because they take the turn up Waterford Street, go 500 feet and bang left on Church Street. Now they're just going to continue up Waterford Street another 500 feet, make the loop through our driveway, and go back on Church Street. So it's a deviation of maybe 1,000 feet from their route. And likewise, when they leave Church Street, they're going to turn up Waterford Street instead of turn down. So it's just it just has worked out really well.
Okay, any other discussions? All right, and I have a motion. I have heard that. Okay. Second, okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, our next meeting will be on September the 9th at 2 p.m., which is Monday after Labor Day. And we also have a special board meeting for orientation August the 5th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So keep a notation of that for us, guys.
I mean, the orientation is pretty important. We'll have food, it's low key, but really talks about the nitty gritty of what we do here. So if you're available, pick that day, mark on the calendar now. Thank you, have a great day.
Okay, I have an announcement. Mark your calendars, September 21st, Fitchburg Art Museum, 6 to 8, opening reception for the regional art and crafts people, except